Oh, it's been a while. But hey there, folks. It's good to be back. It's been a while. The Stain song everyone loves. Hey, welcome to the Weird Flex.
But okay podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to your Comedy Weebs workouts and advice podcast where we answer your questions. And of course, as always, if you would like to submit a question, please email us at weirdflexbutokaypodcast@gmail.com. And the music you've heard in every episode is by What's My Name on Instagram and SoundCloud. And also, I just want to jump in super hype, super max power, and I want to give a shout out to our patrons at the beginning because you guys have been fucking all-stars, and you're great. And we actually just got a new, someone went from a $1 pledge to a $2 pledge, so they are going to be announced as a patron. So thank you, Jay, for switching from $1 to $2. You were super freaking cool. And, of course, our other patrons, Joseph Andrew Grinder, Adrian Leinard, Carsonator TTV, The Swagnomite, Windstorm555, Christopher Kaiser, Kimberly Calderon, and Sunburst Hero, and Mr. Hype Man. And Jay again, because that's awesome, dude. Like, you doubled your pledge. $2 can go a long way. And thank you so much.
It's freaking awesome, dude. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, you guys. I bow to you. You help us, because to tell you about the life of a podcaster. It sucks because on SoundCloud we have to pay $15 a month to keep all of our podcasts available for the iTunes, SoundCloud stuff, so you can direct download it. And so that's money that we just spend out of our pockets. But on Patreon, we're actually bringing in about $18 a month now. So
cool.
Yeah, and so the $15, which actually after fees and stuff is about $16, but it's just $1. That goes into the thing, and that we just use that to pay for the SoundCloud, and then me and Jordan each get $1 just to have
vending machine snack.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much what's happening with the money. If we ever made more monies, we could do more with it, but for right now, that's pretty much how it goes. So on our Patreon, of course, we have a little bit of bonus content that we've recorded in the past, and one day if we ever randomly feel like doing more of it, we might. But for right now, at $1, you can just support this lovely podcast, because if you love listening to it, you should support creators. I personally pledge to $1 tiers of people that I love their content, because I understand that nowadays, it's hard being a creator, and sometimes even just $1 can help.
Yeah, I pledge so much to porn accounts. I follow 16 porn accounts on Patreon. They're fucking awesome, dude. Literally. Yeah, dude. Oh, they're so freaking rad.
No, yeah, and the $2 tier is all of that, plus you get, of course, your name shouted out in here. And we also have content that I update pretty regularly, actually, at least once a week.
Yeah.
I kind of do, journal entries in a way about, life and advice and stuff, and if you're in there, you have access to all of those. And I've gotten pretty deep sometimes about, some of my struggles or, whatever. And Jordan will pop in every now and then, too, but not gonna lie, Katie... It's definitely Katie's corner sometimes. I'll just go in there and be like, "Dear diary, today I had a feeling about life."
Yeah, for me, I typically just yell about it on Twitter, or I post about it.
Yeah.
Or I just reserve it and keep it repressed because I'm horrible healthy.
God damn it. We all have our moments. We all have things that we keep to ourselves. But sometimes on Patreon, you just got to get deep. Sometimes you just have to let your freak flag fly, and that's what we do.
You got to get
here
deep,
at the Weird Flex,
like a machete.
Okay podcast. Yeah, I got to cut it deep in there.
Yes.
Really sear it in.
The flesh.
Yeah, we have some cool questions today, but before we get to that, Jordan, how are you doing? What's up? What have you been up to?
I'm working. All I do is work so I can win.
And the moral of the story is
so whenever someone gets on me for oh, why did you get to this level in this game? I'm working, boy. I'm working. I'm grinding. All right? That's why every time we go to cons, you go in my room because it's the coolest room. So,
Jordan fucking works, bitch. He's out here making that muns.
Yeah,
and
tired.
Hell yeah. No, yeah, he's fucking doing it.
Yeah.
And I, of course, have been doing my shit too.
Sweet.
And it's going real good and stuff.
Awesome.
I have months coming in. And one thing I want to say that I'm excited about, because it's out now, the preview for Sword Art Online Abridged came out recently, and I am in the new episode.
Yeah.
And So yeah, I'm working with Something Witty Entertainment a little bit, which is really cool because I
They were
really
in the
look
thing
up
last
to them.
night, weren't they?
Yeah. I had a birthday party last night on Discord, and
Yeah.
Izzy actually came through.
Who's the
'cause
one I
we've been
broke?
hanging out. You
Who's
broke a lot of people.
Yeah, I did. I'm awesome. I'm amazing.
Probably Cole, but
Yeah,
Cole's,
Cole,
Cole's
yeah.
from Crew.
Yeah,
He's from
I
Groovy.
got him
But
back.
actually, funny enough, if you listen to the trailer for the Sword Art Online Bridge, Cole is also in the trailer.
Sweet.
He is doing some work with Something Witty too, and that's really exciting. And so keep an eye on their projects because I have more things that I will announce in the future when more things are announced, and it's really great. And just I love them so much, and
Yeah, that
I'm
was fun.
honored. I'm honored to be working with them in any capacity whatsoever. Even if it's a throwaway line, I'm just like, yes, like please take me now, let's go. And Izzy and Carrie are so wonderful too. Like it's nice to get to talk about it, like, cause I've been sitting on a lot of stuff, and there's more stuff I'm sitting on, but just I'm fulfilling some dreams behind the scenes, you guys, and meeting people that I've looked up to and working with people that I've looked up to, and it's really cool. Yay! So yeah. And I'm also randomly starting Final Fantasy IX. That's that hip game everyone's playing.
Oh yeah,
right?
totally.
That's
yeah.
the one, right?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
I got
With,
Hero
like,
Sword from that
Vivi.
game.
Yeah, and of course Animal Crossing. Me and Jordan and the boys have been playing Animal Crossing.
Turnips. Yeah, like after like I get done with my project I'm working on, which you'll know about before the next episode, I will go fix my Animal Crossing because I feel bad because I haven't been on it in like 2 weeks because I've been working so much. So yeah, that'll be fun. And yeah, I got Tough Like the Toon stuff because I got new wigs to
Woo!
try on for Tough Like the Toon, so that'll be fun.
Yes.
And then yeah, I got the suit for it, so that'll be fun. And yeah, that's what I work.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
working.
I've been doing auditions and then recording for other stuff, and then for Groovy we have some stuff coming out too, which is real neat.
Yeah.
And,
I miss Bo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I
Bo.
tell them I miss them because I love their voice. It really mellows me out when I listen to it.
No,
like,
Bo's
dude.
really great. Bo is
Yeah.
for Groovy Productions. I host a podcast called Perpetually Ajar, and actually, by the time this Weird Flex podcast episode comes out, you will have heard our season finale episode featuring Janet Varney, the voice of.
Oh, you
Korra
do
from
season
Legend of Korra.
finales?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we do 10 episodes and then it's a season finale. Then we're taking a 2-month hiatus and we're going to come back with new ideas, new guests. And yeah, because we like to do it kind of like every other episode has a special guest from somewhere out in the earth. And we talk to them about really cool stuff, just about who they are as people. We don't really focus on their world or on like their job per se, but if they want to talk about that, they can. But people in the communities that we've like looked up to or respected for whatever they do, we just want to kind of get to know them, and that's what we do over there, and it's really cool.
Well, get them on our podcast, Katie. Come on, Katie. Me and Janet Varney went to college together. People, did you know that?
Whoa!
She was in my college
Honestly,
one time.
I
I said
can
hi.
maybe try to work on that in the future, but
Yeah.
all I know
I'm gonna
is
be like,
that-
you remember me? You said I look like Boy Cora.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
But I know that Bo has actually been the real fucking MVP about reaching out to guests, and somehow for some reason they said, yeah, I'll be on your podcast, and we were like, what? So that's pretty cool. But yeah, go listen to that when you get the chance, of course, after you listen to this episode of Weird Flex, where we will give you
An okay
cool
podcast.
advice. Yes, it is an okay mediocre podcast, maybe. It's decent.
Yes. Katie's like
I
my
don't
little
think
sister
else.
because I was listening to
It's
this
true.
Doom song the other day that was like, did you hear that song with like Isabel and the Doom guy?
I
It's
did,
like,
yeah.
It isn't violence, it's not violence. We started hanging to the front like sister and brother. We care for each other. It's just like I was just thinking of me and Katie like going through fucking.
No, yeah,
was
dude,
the
I would
song.
love to do a fucking like Isabel and
Yeah,
Doom
do it,
guy
and I'll be Doom
cosplay.
guy. I have all
Oh my
the
God,
stuff
that'd be
for
so
it.
funny. Whenever all of the shenanigans are over and we can do cons and
If it's
cosplay
over.
again. Yeah, no, that's fair. That is a valid.
We're gonna
point
be
there.
digitalized. It's gonna be like that movie Ready Player One, with like
Oh my
if
God.
everyone had to put the masks on and go in the world. Like, oh, that actually be kind of hype.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That actually would be pretty cool.
that would be. That'd be pretty dope. I'd be freaking
Pretty dope. Well, hell yeah. That's what we've been up to. And my birthday is this week. We're recording
tomorrow.
right now. Yeah, tomorrow
But
is my
today is
birthday.
tomorrow because you're listening to this.
Yes, you're listening
what
to this
did
on
I say?
Thursday. My birthday's on Monday, May 11th. So happy birthday to me! Yay.
How
I'm
old
turning
are you
25.
now? Oh my
25.
God! Wow, it's all downhill from there. Jesus
I know.
Christ!
They say that
dude,
every
your
year,
joints.
but I'm still going up. We're
But
doing our
biologically.
best. Obviously, yeah.
Let's do it,
Like,
Katie.
let's go.
You're gonna get stronger.
I believe.
Yeah, I have a question, Katie. My friend asked
is
me
it?
this a long time ago. Do you think you could kick your ass from like 10 years ago?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Well,
good.
10 years ago, me was not a fighter anyway, and like even today, not much has changed.
Like,
in
could you
that
like
regard.
yeah, because I was like wondering that, because I was like,
Oh,
because I was
yeah.
talking to a friend about this, and they're like, yo, you remember how Gohan in DBZ like let himself get weak after 7 years? Like, do you think you could like kick your ass from like 10 years ago? I'm like, and then I started thinking about it because I had my shoulder injury, and I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I could, because I'm more skilled. I have better endurance. I have a shit ton more stamina. He's stronger, but I could just and just open the shit like
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years ago, me would cry at the utter thought of a fight, and honestly, same today. So
Yeah,
not
so you
much
both
has
run in the
changed there.
corner.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Like
That'd be
I'm
hilarious to
not a
watch.
fighter.
Go fight. I can't do this. Run in the corner
I
behind.
can't do it, man. I can't do it.
Just
and then
watching
I'd be like,
both of
"Aw,
them.
it's okay, little weeb Katie. Here, let's go play video games." And she'd be like, "Really?" And I'd be like, "Psych!" And I'd punch that bitch.
You'd headbutt her.
Yeah,
Yes.
it'd be great. Because my butt's bigger now. So I'd like,
Mm.
BAM! All right, let's get to some questions from our lovely
Okay.
listeners. Because, yes. All right. Hey, everybody. These questions come from our email, and just to let you know,
Weird
if you'd like
Flex
to ask
Pod.
a question, yes, weirdflex, but okaypodcast@gmail.com, or Twitter @weirdflexpod. You can send us questions and do all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right. First question comes from Activitis.
Rectivitis.
Yes. It is. My questions are: would you work out as hard as now if you were not allowed to listen to any music? Working out, running, having walks in silence versus with music. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You can go for. I already have my answer.
Oh, God. I mean, every time I've worked out or walked, I need something to listen to. But I'm not going to lie. I listen to more podcasts / people talking / stories than music when I'm working out.
Mhm.
Like, there are occasionally a few songs that will motivate me and that I'll listen to in like small chunks, especially when I'm doing more like curl ups or things like that. Things that I'm very like I'm in one spot doing.
Mhm.
Music is really helpful, but when I'm traversing, when I'm doing cardio, I need a podcast. I need something that I can like grab onto to just keep walking to. Yeah.
Right.
So without it, I've never done a workout in complete silence. Like I have to have something.
Oh. Okay. That's good.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. Fuck yeah, I could. I go off hatred. My shit is like fucking like my friend said this a long time ago. He's just like, if you like work out at the gym without any headphones on, you're not working out for your health. You're working out to avenge someone or some shit like that. It's just
Oh,
like
yeah!
it's just like fucking true. Because I can do that. Like honestly, like I remember. This is gonna sound so edgy, but it was like true. Like back when like high school and shit like that, I had like a
Yeah.
picture of like the bullies who middle school
Oh
like
my
beat me up, and I had them in my weight
believe
room,
you.
and I would
I
fucking
believe
like
you.
just bench press and like do pull ups
Oh
and just
my
look at the picture like I'm
God.
gonna fucking kill you when I get out of here. I'm gonna get
Jesus
so fucking
Christ.
stronger. And I wasn't even listening to music. It was just like I had their picture on the wall, and then I was just like, whatever. I lost the picture sadly. It like melted in something. I don't know, but like it's
Yeah.
gone. So but like I remember I had that shit, and I would just actively stare at it and just do it. But then besides that, I can definitely walk without music because like it's very therapeutic to walk in
Yeah, yeah.
nature just to hear like the birds and the grass and the water and stuff like that. So it's actually
Yeah.
it's actually like I've found for myself, because I have a lot of anger issues, and for therapy they have me do various things. It is very good for cooling the temper, because it's just like, okay, there's nothing around you, you're not listening to anything, it's just you and nature, you're just going on your walk. All right, breathe, and it's just it helps me focus. So sometimes I go with my Audible book, sometimes I go with music, sometimes I will just go for a thing, like if I'm in a funk again, like if I'm like a grump, like, because I'm honestly what's funny is like everyone's always like, Jordan, you're so happy and positive and optimistic, and it's just like I'm like such a grumpy person at times. And so Katie's like always the one who's like cheering me up, like, oh, come on, Jordan, let's go, fine. And then like I was just like, so I just do various things to keep me from being grumpy. So like that's what I do. So yeah.
I have this issue where if I go more than 10 minutes in silence with my own thoughts, it gets scary. So I just listen to a podcast.
Oh, no. I had those thoughts, and then I faced them. Except when they attack me in my dream, they like jump on me. They're like, "Ha! You can't escape us right now, motherfuckers!" It's just like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, because I definitely think it might say more about me than I want it to. But I find at times like the media that I consume helps me in many, many, many ways. But there really is like a valid point at times to when people say like, oh, entertainment is just a distraction from reality and like you're just escaping from the real shit. And that is true to an extent, but I do face like the real shit on a daily basis and with like my loved ones and, you know, all the life situations. But I also heavily rely on any moments when I'm not, you know, actively dealing with like the other stuff. I like to be absorbing knowledge because I feel like if I don't feel like I'm doing something productive, even if that productivity is in the form of entertainment, you know, I get this like uneasy feeling, like I'm wasting something. Like, you know, that feeling where yeah. And so that can be a double-edged sword, because on one hand, I'm like, every time you talk to me, it's like, oh, hey, what have you been doing? Oh, this, and this. And then on the other hand, it's like, breathe. Yeah. Breathe, woman, breathe. You can just, I don't think in the last 10 years I've sat in a room for an hour in complete silence. I don't think I've done that. Unless I was at the doctor's office, then I just get so nervous that I just sit there just like in the quiet, just staring at the wall, just like, oh God. But like I've never chosen a situation where I do that, and I don't know if that's a healthy thing people do, is just sit in the silence. But
like, just sit inside. I mean, like, well, to me, yeah, because like it's a way for this is how I
guess that's called meditation, and I don't
meditation
do that,
stuff like that. And then like when you just sit in silence and you just like for instance, there was like this chamber thing that you can sit in that's just like,
oh, I've heard of those.
Yeah, like it's like you're
Sensory
not even
chamber.
meditating, you just sort of just float and you just sit and you just like are alone with your thoughts and whatever. And like it's just one of those situations where it's just like because I remember I used to have a problem where I didn't like to be alone with my thoughts too, because I had a lot of just fucked up thoughts. We're damaged people, but it's all good because we're stronger now, so it's all good. But yeah, like it just helped me like something like my teacher sensei actually like told me about. It's just like, okay, like he pulled that whole Lion King card. It's just like you can either run from it or you can learn from it and stand and face it. And then there was a part where like I saw this actually it was funny. I saw a tweet. And it was like me and Fear are going to have a different relationship in this year. And then the person, it was like Fear was just staring at this person. Like it had like text over two people and it was like a basketball player. And the basketball player was like mean mugging this other basketball player. And then this other basketball player noticed that he was just mean mugging him. And then the other basketball player just got down to his level and just like stared him right in the eye. And then like after like 5 seconds, like Fear just looked away. And like that like visualization helped me go like, okay, no, I will stand and face whatever thing I am afraid. So like there are a lot of things that like I don't like, but like it helps me I've noticed for myself, it's not like damaging. There's some things where I go, oh, that would be damaging if I was to do that. But there are some things that go, okay, this is not damaging. This is callousing. This is making me mentally tougher in this situation, mentally strong for this situation. So I focus on using that to my advantage. And it's like, it's uncomfortable first, but like, that's like with everything. Rather, this is like, for example, like when you first work out, like the first time you ever work out, it feels like you're going to be sore for like 3 months. It's just, it feels like it's not going to stop. It's just so incredibly painful. And you can't get up and move, and like the toilet is terrible. Like it's so freaking leg day after. I'm just gonna quick tangent on that. Leg day The toilet after leg day is a freaking mortal enemy. It is a mortal enemy, and you cannot. I don't know how to explain it. You will never enjoy it. It's terrible. But like, it's just something where you go, huh? I'm adapting faster. Huh? I'm not getting as sore as I did before. Huh? I'm able to take it. And then like it just, for me personally, that was what helped me to mold myself to go, okay, I can handle this. I can get through this. I will be strong. Just like callousing it. So because
I think just one thing that I really like to do when I'm, for example, if I'm having a moment or an episode where there's an overwhelming dread or feeling of something that like scares me or something that like I'm uncertain about or something, hearing other people talk about their problems puts my problems into perspective. And when other people talk about problems, and sometimes they might even talk about something that I myself have gone through or experienced, hearing the way that they deal with it, even if it's a way that I wouldn't deal with it or wouldn't choose to, or if it's a way that I could totally relate to dealing with it, it helps me knowing like and hearing that I'm not alone and that it's possible to get through it. And so that's why I really rely on like podcasts a lot to like give me consistent different perspectives from people at different places in their life, or like, because listening to people that were much older than me especially talk about issues like I used to love just listening to interviews of like people that I like looked up to, but like specifically the long form interviews that are like more difficult to get through, not like the little chunks where you just get a nice sound bite. Like I'd like to listen to them talk about their life or their problems because it really puts things into perspective and shows you like, wow, this person might either A, have it way worse than me, or B, oh, they've experienced something I've experienced and they're okay. They're doing great. And so it's helpful, but also sometimes it means that I won't just sit there alone and figure out how to do it. I sometimes rely on advice too much, but I listen to multiple sources of advice. So, you know, then I pick the best one and I'm like, okay, that helps. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to do, but I guess it's just something to think about that I do that so much because like there's so much media to consume, and I think that entertainment and media are one of the most important things that we have. And like, especially being quarantined, so many people are really relying on the entertainment industry. So like, if anyone ever says that like going in entertainment is stupid or like, oh, you shouldn't do that, think about the artists that you rely on in your darkest moments, because they're the people that can sometimes drag you out of that hole just by sharing their stories. Stories are like the things that really just keep me going. And when I have my dark times, which I do, I really do, I need people to show me through history that I can get through it. And yeah, and so while I think it's important to rely on yourself, relying on others is okay. And that's, you know, that's something I preached forever, but like there's multiple ways that you can rely on others, just like there's multiple ways you can rely on yourself. Like, because for example, when it comes to like at the end of the day, I have work to get done, I have responsibilities, I have this. You have to fucking rely on yourself to get it done. No one else is going to do that shit for you. But when you're having those dark moments where you're like, oh no, did I fuck up in this situation? And then you go talk to somebody about it and they say, hey, just take a step back. Sometimes you need someone else to tell you that. Sometimes there's things that you, no matter how hard you try, that you can't do without the help of somebody else. We're social creatures. We need help sometimes. But that doesn't mean that you always need that help. But when you do, feel no shame in taking it. And yeah, I just talked in circles about that, but fuck, like,
yeah, when you're feeling bad, don't feel bad about like that. There's no shame reaching out for help, right? But and then like, yeah, like I would just say like the whole thing of like, you know, sometimes like because that is true, like you need someone, like people are social, and then like it's true like to good, and then like in my opinion, like for just through my perspective on it too. All right. Like it's good, like to have those people to talk to, like hell, I talk to like friends all the time. Like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this. Oh, that was good. Thanks bro. That helped me a lot. But then there are sometimes you just got to go like, this was like one of those lessons my like stuff sensei said to me. It was just like, okay, like, you know, sometimes you just need to like, you know, get it done yourself. Even if you can't, like that's completely fine. And it's just like a hard thing to just like go, okay, no. Cause like to me, I'm very much like a guy about like, oh, I'm building this mental fortitude just to handle situations. Cause like, Oh yeah, this actually happened when I first started meditating too, because like you want the person you want like just to be rational in situation and calm in situations that are like, like full of stress. And there's nothing wrong with like being stressed out and like stuff. Like I always tell people like, hey man, like are you stressed out? Let's have a conversation and talk. Like always
Yeah.
it's important to have people like that in your life, people, so that you can always go like, okay, you are my person to talk to and do that. And it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
think of it like think of it like a contingency too, where it's just like, okay, because I always think of like the worst possible scenario, like, oh, let's say you're stuck somewhere for 10 years or something like that. Would you just like let yourself mentally collapse, or would you like adapt and find a way so? But it's just like, oh, we're in a situation now where we don't have to worry about that because we always have this. And I'm just like, well, what if we didn't have that? Like, how would we able to do it? And like, I guess for me, I'm always like in that mindset of just like, okay, no, I will adapt and survive in a sort of way where I go like, okay, no matter what happens, I will be able to go, all right,
Yeah.
this sucks, but I'm
Yeah.
not defeated. This is terrible,
Yeah.
and this is a horrible situation, but I will not let it get the best of me. Like it's just something that I always like talk to myself, a self-conscious thing. And I always teach my students this too, and like training wise, because sometimes they just like get in this mindset of just like, oh, they feel like they can't make it through the day, they make it through the thing. Like I remember I had a talk with a student was having this like he was super frustrated because he couldn't lose
Yeah.
like the last 10 pounds of like fat on him. He was just like,
Yeah.
I can't do this, and I need to do it for this thing he wanted to do, which is his personal stuff. I'll just like let him have his thing. But like I was just like, look man, you just need to breathe, relax, and focus on what you really want now and stuff like that. And that takes like a little sort of just going like, you can get through this. It may take longer, but you can, and you can overcome it and focus on conquering that little ability in yourself. And you know what? He was able to do it. He shot past it. Like it gave him
Yeah.
like 3 months, and he shot past it. I was like so proud of my boy. He was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, like just
That
you know,
reminds me of a.
Mhm.
Oh, you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That reminds me of a lesson that I've also learned about how sometimes you need people to give you that push, but that's all that they can do is give you that push and help you through this moment right now. But when it comes to finding inner peace, you have to do that alone. No one can create inner peace for you. They can be there for you. They can, be the push, be the thing that gets you through this moment right now or this problem right now. That, there's a lot of things that people can do for you. But at the end of the day, when you go to bed at night, you have to analyze what happened, how they helped you, all that stuff, and find a way to make peace, like, with yourself, because you are the only person that will be there for you 24/7. So there's so many things that you have to rely on, but the one consistent thing that I found that you have to do alone is making that peace with any thing going on in your life, and you don't need permission to make peace within yourself, even though it feels that way. Sometimes there can be issues in life where you feel like maybe you handled a situation wrong, or maybe there's a person out there that doesn't like you and you don't know why, or blah, 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 blah. You don't need their permission to say, okay, and let it go. You don't need it. It feels like you do.
Yeah, there's a mental like
But,
wall in your
yeah.
head. That's
Exactly.
like, yeah, you have to like knock down. That's just like, no, like it's like, honestly, there's like a door, like to give you a visualization. It's like, okay, there's a door, it's unlocked, but the door says, oh, well, you're still stuck here. And it's just like, no,
Yep.
the door's
Yep.
unlocked. You just have to like go through it. And it's just like, no, I can't go through it, but the door's locked and it's telling me I can't go through it. It's like, no, you can. You just have to
Yeah.
find your way to like get through that door. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's a very difficult thing to do. But like once
And
you do it, you'll feel
sometimes-
like 10,000
yeah.
times better.
And sometimes it's like a single piece of advice that like is the like
Key.
tipping point too. Yeah, like sometimes you could just be having a conversation with someone, or like experiencing something new, or going out there and just living your life, and it'll just hit you. Because that reminds me of another great piece of advice that I've learned through my entire life that other people have also told me they feel is true. It is until it isn't, and it isn't until it is. Life can fucking change on a dime. Nothing is permanent, but that is good and also bad. And that's something I've reiterated before. But the main focal point I mean by that is, in life, sometimes you'll be going through like the shitty time, and it can last a week, a day, or like a year. And one day you'll wake up and like it won't be as strong. Maybe it'll still be there, sure, but its power on you will have changed. And sometimes you can't even quite pinpoint how or when it happened. But like you'll just be like, huh, this memory that I have that used to make me like fucking cry on spot is now like just a passing thought. And then you might have days where you relapse and like maybe you do cry at the thought, or you do like linger or fixate, but that doesn't mean you haven't made progress, because the next day you might just be right back to normal, back to business as usual. And so, you know, like time is linear, life is linear. You just have to keep moving forward, you know, all that good stuff. And just know that whatever, like, this too shall pass, whatever you're going through, it will end. You will have bad times objectively, but you will have good times too. And it is until it isn't, and it isn't until it is. Just like sometimes relationships with people in your life too. Like sometimes you might have something great and then maybe they'll be a little more distant. And it's just, you gotta take the things as they come and go, and enjoy every moment while you have it.
Yep, and don't forget to train
promised
yourself
anything.
to handle
Yeah.
situations that you like don't like the way. Oh yeah, oh good. This is a great thing. Like my coach always said, like you know, like if the storm comes, you don't want the storm to like take out you. You want the storm comes to you. You want to be able to walk out the storm, or like you may want to be like, bitch, you got me messed up. I am the fucking storm. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah,
Like when
yeah.
the storm comes, it's just like, yeah, all right. So yeah, so just like prep yourself, because like again, like I look at this from like very because I love the positive aspect too, but I like to give like just my perspective, just like throwing it in there as well, just so you can go like, okay, yeah, that's another good way to look at it. Like, you know, like Katie said, like the whole this too shall pass, and like it's both good and bad sort of way. There's also like that way of just like thinking something. Now this isn't like to stress you out or something like that. It's just like, you know, all right, every time life is good and then life is bad, like it has its ups and downs. It's like constantly like that. Like if life was good all the time, it probably be boring, to be honest, or something like that. And if life was bad all the time, it's just like, why the fuck do I want to do this? So like it has that balance of like going through it and stuff like that. And so like just mentally preparing yourself, like just, you know, through various exercises, like honestly, I think meditation and yoga are like medicine for the body. Like they do so much. Like, man, I would do like a whole 30-minute tangent, but we gotta move on to the next questions about why they're great. But like, yeah, it's like there's just so much of just like prepping yourself to be like, okay, this shit probably would never get this bad, but if it was this bad, I'm prepped for it, and I'm not gonna like crumble at the thought of it. So like, you know, just going through little motions like that, seeing like, okay, what if this happened, how would you respond to it? If this happened, how would I respond to it? If this happened, how would I respond to it? Stuff like that. Like it's just little things like that of just like doing these little mini contingencies, because if you follow my channel, I'm all about contingencies and stuff like that. So it's like that's like one of my things besides fitness. I love contingency plans. But yeah, you know, just like keep calm, focus
Booyah
on like
on.
going, booyah. Don't forget moment time. But yeah.
Don't forget.
Yeah, I think we've been on this question long enough though. Let's go to the next one.
I agree. So to sum it up, yeah, I like listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
Anyway, next question. Let's go to the one that you submitted, actually, Jordan, from someone
the deep
on your
one.
thing.
Okay,
yeah,
this is
let's
from
keep it on deep.
Old friend, or not old. Well, oh yeah, I will call her old friend. She's been subscribed to me since 2015. So hey, Britt, I hope you're listening to this. All right.
Hello.
She basically said she had a paragraph sent in, but I for some reason I couldn't copy and paste it, so I just posted a partial bits of it. So here we go. I have a toxic quality that I don't like about myself, and I was wondering, have either of you had toxic qualities in the past, or do you have one right now? And if so, how do you deal with them? And like, what do you do just to like conquer? I want to get rid of mine. And she's talking about that. Love your show, Brittany. All right, yeah. So there we go. Hey, Britt. Yeah, this is a good old deep question. Very nice. Yeah, I have some in the past, and then I do have one now that I'm not proud of, and I hate it, but it happens, and it's like I talked to my therapist about it, and I talked to actually my sensei, who's the nephew of Bob Ross, so he's super chill about stuff. So like that's always super cool to talk about. But oh god, this is gonna sound just so bad, but okay, you know what I'm gonna say. Okay, so I really don't like being talked down to at all by like anyone. Like if it's like something I haven't done, like, so for example, I just like don't like being talked to unless you're like my parents or something like that. Like my parents, like if you talk to me in a way of like respect, I talk to people in a way of respect. I never talk down to anyone. I am a very much equal, you know, person. Like if you treat me kindly, I'll treat you kindly. You're nice to me, I'll treat nice to you. And then like if someone like talks down to me and like like there's some sort of like they think they're better than me in some way, it really pisses me off. But it especially pisses me off if the person, and I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be real, just because this is Weird Flex but okay podcast, something like that. It just irritates me. It really pisses me off if a person talks down to me and they're like weaker than me in a sense, and like not like in the oh god, I'm gonna
Physical.
fucking get, but yeah, like if they're like, if they're like weaker than me, like, oh, you are a fucking idiot. You know nothing. You're just this. You're such a dumbass. You don't know how to do anything right. Stuff like that. There's a part of me that's just like, I could fucking rip your head off right now. You know that, right? And you're talking down to me like I'm just a fucking, like I wouldn't do it or some shit like that. And it's just, I always tell my like therapist, like I need to control my anger for this scenario, like what to do. So like, again, meditation, godsend, walks, godsend,
Yeah.
lots of like talks with like people you care about, godsend. But like, there's always this like little notion of me of like, have you ever seen The Dark Knight Rises, Katie?
I don't think so.
Okay, so there's a scene in that movie where the villain Bane, he walks into this room and he's talking to like this squirrely businessman who comes in, and like Bane's the main villain of the movie, but he's working for this guy just because he's paying him to do this stuff. And then like Bane's like, leave us, and he's just like, no, you stay, I'm in charge. And then what Bane does, he just puts his hand on the shoulders, like, do you feel in charge? And he's just like, what, I paid you a small fortune, and he's like, and this gives you power over me. And like, to me, like, not again, like, not saying it like, oh, it's a good thing or something like that, but it's just like, if someone is just like, because like this is something I've experienced, and I feel this, like, the only thing you truly own in your like life is your body, right? Like your body, you work up for it. That is like one thing. Like, you have all these other accessories, like, you pay for this, and like your body is with you until the day you die. Like, that is the one thing. Like, if you're butt naked, you own your body. That you own your mind and your body. Like, that is your thing. So like, the fact that it was just like, no, like, you may have all this, but I'm still like this over you, so watch your fucking mouth. And then like, he killed the guy, but I would never do that. But it's just that whole notion of just like someone trying to be like, oh, I'm above you, even though like you could crush me. It unleashes, like, this is why I guess, like, to go back to my bullying days, because like when I was being bullied and beat up, like the kids were like, they outclassed me, they embarrassed me, they made me feel like so weak and helpless. So I always focused on like getting stronger, so I would never feel weak and helpless like that again. And so like, I actually became like, this was the old toxic quality, I would be a worse bully to bullies I saw. So like, for example, here is an old toxic quality that I had that thankfully meditation knows all that calmed down, was like, let's say like someone was picking on someone else, right? And I saw it and I was like, oh, you think that's funny? I would find a way to like break them down, like emotionally and physically and stuff like that. And then be like, oh, well, if you want to try me, I will embarrass your ass because I trained my ass off for this. So you will be embarrassed if you fucking try. So it's like, but then like, I learned like, okay, that's not helping the scenario. It's just making the thing worse. And I mean, it helps in movie theaters to shut people up, but I don't do it. I only just flex, and then it's just like, shut up. And then they shut up, but that's good. But like, it just, I guess for me, the rage like dwells from the part of just like, I have I think of a fear of being like considered weak. Yeah, that's what it is. I have a fear of like being considered weak when I've worked so hard for it. And so like, being talked down to by someone who is not as physically capable as me, like, oh, they think they're better than me, superior to me in any way, it like just makes my blood boil, and I have to like actively control myself, actively like, don't do it, like, do it. It's like, I just meditate and do that.
I think one thing about toxic qualities to think about is, as much as it sucks, most of them come from a place of that fear or of defense.
Oh yeah, definitely defense.
Like,
from my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you maybe experienced someone like.
Oh, they beat me up and laughed at me.
Yeah,
and they were like,
exactly.
they tried me to. They like, and then I remember there was one time they were like, oh, you gonna fight back? Oh, no, because you'd be on the ground crying like you are now. And so that stuck with me in my head. Just like, no, that will never happen again. If anyone ever tries to make that happen again, that will.
Because I guess my point is that there can be toxic qualities that, while the quality itself, yes, is toxic, and there's no excuse for certain types of behavior, but they can still be understood and sometimes viewed as, like, this makes sense that you would have this reaction. So like, and that can be a perspective thing, like, with physical stuff. Like, if someone is threatening you and you like beat the shit out of him, like, there could be people that are like, yeah, like, you're fucking defending yourself. And then there'd be others that are like, well, that was a bit excessive, or this or that. And so it's like important to to take those into consideration, but also for more less extreme examples. Like on my end of the spectrum, I think the toxic qualities that I used to showcase that I like to believe that I do not anymore, but, obviously we're not perfect, is I went more inward with my qualities. So, for example, if I was in a room with people that I just probably shouldn't have been hanging out with because they were the type of people that would just constantly talk about how much this person is ugly and sucks, and it was very like drama, like very talking about other people, like in ways, especially about stuff that they couldn't even control, and like joking about it, like stuff like that. Like when I was a lot younger, like in high school and maybe early college, when I'd be in the rooms with that, I was never the person that was like, oh yeah, fuck, like I was never that person. But I wouldn't say anything. Or I would laugh along, or if someone would make a joke, they'd be like, right, and I'd be like, yeah, and like if we saw that person, I wouldn't do anything, and like they might even be making fun of that person right there, and I would maybe feel this sense of like guilt, but because of maybe the fear or the feeling of like, oh, I don't want to blah 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 step out of line or some bullshit like that, I wouldn't do anything. And I think that could be considered a toxic quality, because if you watch injustice happening and do nothing about it, that's not okay. And I used to be a lot more in that vein. And I realized that, like, and I'm not trying to shift blame onto other people, because I was that person. Like that, those other people, like, I control myself. I chose to be that person, even if there are products of like, the environment and people that affect you, and they are valid. You do have to take responsibility. But I think what helped me change was realizing that I was being a different person because I was hanging out with people that this was their normal. And so I allowed myself to be and want to be like them because I wanted to blend in and not do anything. And so when I decided that is not okay, I was like, I'm going to not hang out with these people. I'm going to, if any like conversation about this person or this whatever comes up, I'm not going to say anything. Like in terms of like, I'm not going to laugh. I'm not going to like, and if they try to take it too far, I'm going to do something. But luckily I would leave before they would even do that. But I stopped hanging out with people that I felt like were like that, because I didn't like the person that I was allowing myself to be in those situations. And ever since then, I've not been that person. And so I guess the way that I dealt with it was by removing myself from a situation and around others that influenced me. So maybe that just goes to say that I'm easily influenceable. And there was a time where I think I was. I think there's a time when young people are.
Yeah, there's a time where young people are. I actually have a video coming out on that on my channel soon, so it'll be further. And go to subscribe to my channel, Jack's Play, where I talk further in depth about that.
But like, it's interesting, when you look at it through the perspective of you do things to protect yourself. You do
things to fit in too.
Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't like.
It doesn't excuse it, but it's just like, like people do shit to like fit in. They do shit to like be like part of the group, because like, everyone's insecure like in middle school and high school, and it's just like we're just trying to find like some place.
There's some qualities that, and this is like something I've struggled with too, that in some situations it's not toxic, but in another situation it is toxic, because you have to like look at the word toxic in general on a scale as well. Because just because, fighting, for example, there's some situations where if someone throws the first punch, you got to defend yourself. That's not bad. But if you are out here just throwing punches at people, that's not okay. Like that is not okay.
Yeah.
So for example, like that, there's one thing that is kind of a topic of debate that I actually want to talk about. So we might spend a little time on this question, but
okay.
But
sure.
Ghosting.
Ghosting. Well, is that the texting thing?
Yeah. Or just in general, people like, can come and go in your life. And there is this conversation that ghosting in all forms is 100% not okay. And I disagree. That is very extreme. Because
Okay.
especially as a lady, there are times when someone is
Could be
messaging
creepy.
me and being not okay, and I don't owe them a response. And there's
Oh,
also
and-
people that
Yeah.
come into your life that maybe you had an interaction, but then you had nothing else, and then they keep reaching out and keep reaching out, and you're like, whoa, like you're getting like maybe a not safe vibe. Or maybe there's someone that has been in your life a while, but maybe you just drift apart naturally. And some people will call that ghosting when that's just growing apart. Like there are people that were in my life in high school that aren't in my life anymore. Did they ghost me? No. We just went our different ways. And so people trying to label moving on with your life and maybe you just don't talk to this person as much anymore as ghosting can actually be harmful because it takes the situations that are actually not okay. It makes those situations look less like valid. And it's like important to accept the fact that if someone is not in your life anymore, that doesn't mean that, oh man, they did this toxic thing to me where they didn't want to talk to me anymore. Like that fucking happens. But there can be times where it could be like toxic. Like if you're married to someone and they give you the silent treatment, like that's immature and that's like a form of ghosting. Like, talk to me, we're married. If you want to divorce, cool, let's do it. But like you can't just not talk to me. Like there's some social bonds where you kind of need to have that conversation. But yeah, I guess that's kind of like my perspective on that conversation.
Okay. Oh yeah. So yeah, for ghosting, I think it really, really depends on the situation. Like again, like if you're an adult, like you shouldn't fucking ghost your wife. Like that's just immature. Ghost your husband. That's immature. Like it's just like
There's also paperwork involved, so
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
wouldn't even be possible. But
Yeah, exactly. Stu. And then like the only time I think ghosting is wrong is if like the person well, like, okay, I'll put a scenario out there. All right, so like it's like, oh, I'm going to blah, 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 like ask this girl out, and she wants to go to this ramen place, right, or something like that. And then we go like, hey, do you want to go out to this ramen place with me? And she's like, oh, sure. What time do you want to go? Oh, I would like to go at this time, if that's okay with you. Like it just be like if they're just like that. Oh, sure. And I'm just gonna tell my friends there just to be safe, so you know you're not crazy. Okay, sure. And then like you go there, you wait, you like bought all the stuff like to go, and then like you get ghosted. It's like, oh, I thought you were coming, and then like you get no response. It's just like okay, well that like to me like it's just like okay, all you had to say in that scenario for like that is one scenario where I'm just okay, all you had to say was just like you didn't want to go, like you didn't may have to like let me drive out there.
That's a miscommunication.
Yeah,
I've also never understood like when they stand up a date without telling them.
Yeah,
but I've also
so stupid.
never like in my experience what I would do before I even go to the restaurant is I send a confirmation text of like, hey, are you gonna be there? And if they don't respond, I don't go. Because if you're not gonna tell me, like, when I used to like be going to meet up with friends or like do whatever, and of course you have to judge it on a base by base thing with the person too. Because like if it's someone that you've known for 10 years and you guys are like real cool, you don't even have to send a confirmation text. But there's different levels to relationships, and sometimes it might be a person that you haven't really hung out with much, so you maybe need to like get those confirmations of like, hey, we're meeting here at this time, correct? And then like if they're not responding an hour before the initial meeting time, then like fuck it, I'm not wasting my time. Like you can respond and tell me if you're gonna be there, like because my time is valuable. And but there's also situations where, especially when it comes to like safety and trust, and like there can be situations where there are people in your life that maybe you just don't vibe with anymore and you want to go your own way.
Exactly.
But you're not. But I don't think that you should just sit someone down and say, hey, I don't like you, or like call them on the phone and be like, hey, fuck you, especially if like you guys weren't even that deep. Like,
well, no, exactly. If you're
every
not deep
acquaintance,
at all.
yeah,
Like,
if every acquaintance in your life you just call up one day and you're like, I don't want to talk to you again. Like that's
no, exactly.
not how life
it's silly.
works.
Like that's silly to me. Like to me, like the only time like ghosting, like I would be a problem is like if they actually responded back. Like for instance, like the way I see it is like, okay, let's say I matched with someone on Tinder and I'm like, hey, and then like I just wait a couple days, and then like I don't get a response back, and then it's just like, okay, well, first off, I didn't get a response. I just be like, okay, well, I threw it out there. I said, hey, I'm not gonna do it again. Just like, oh, because
Yeah,
like
they
you
didn't
can say,
respond, just
yeah,
move
they
on.
didn't
It's
respond. So
fine.
it's just like, okay. So like if I do get a response back and it's like, oh, how's it going? We talk, we vibe or something. And it's just like, okay, cool. And then like I go, oh, how's this going for you today? Okay. And then it's just like, okay, yeah, because of me, I think like especially
I
older
feel like
me
that's
has
a very
I've gotten
low
like
stakes situation. Like,
yeah,
'cause
exactly.
if
It's low stakes.
if
No,
you've only had 3.
no, that's why I have like 3 things I was
pieces of
about to say.
text.
Like
Yeah.
it was like, okay, you have that one, and then you have the one where it's like someone you have been like seeing for a bit, right? Like someone you've been like on 2 dates with, or someone you like hooked up with, or something like that. And it's just like, okay, yeah, so I want to go out to this restaurant tonight. Are you okay? You good to go? Ghosted, and it's just like, okay, well, we did this the whole time. And then it's just like for in that scenario, like the way I look at it is nowadays, like before I would just over stress about everything, just be like, okay, like maybe they're busy, maybe they have to do this, maybe they have to do this, blah blah blah. And then it's just like, okay, if not, it's not a big deal. I can like try texting either tomorrow or something like that, or just letting it be. And if like they don't respond like after the second one, it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
it's done. You go get on with your day. That was a fun thing, and then you just get on, and then that's what happens. Like to me, it's just like, okay, if someone's not gonna respond to you, just like, okay, this is over. I just gotta go, and then just accept it for what it is and get on.
Yeah. And I think one piece of like good etiquette too is if you guys had like maybe been on 2 dates and you were planning a third date, if the other person isn't feeling it anymore, here's what I think should be the best approach to that. They don't necessarily owe you like their whole life story of like, I'm just not ready, blah blah blah, but they should at least be like, hey, I don't actually want to go out tonight. And if you're like, oh, tell me why, or da da da, they don't necessarily owe you that response, but I think it would be nice if they at least say like I just don't want to go out tonight. Sorry. Hope you have like a great night. Put some formalities in there. And then if you yourself, being in the confused state you are, if you're just like, oh, well, would you like to go out again sometime? If they say, maybe not, or if they don't respond, I think that's yeah, you should take that as a no. And I think that that's perfectly okay. And that doesn't make them like a bitch. Like the fact that they told you, hey, I just don't want to go out tonight. And then they're kind of given the vibe of like, okay, I'm going to ease away, especially when you've only gone on like 3 dates. Like, I think that's a perfectly acceptable way to do it. It's not acceptable if they just don't answer at all and they make you go to the restaurant. Like, that's some bullshit. But, like, they don't owe you just an outright, like, dear Jordan, I must tell you that I'm just not ready for commitment because my mother and my father and my dog and blah, like they don't owe you that. Like, no one owes you that. But they do owe you at least if we made a promise to meet. Then, yeah. But I think one reason that I bring this up, and we're probably not even going to get to, like, another question. This is going to be just a deep tangent podcast. I think I bring this up to kind of round it out is because there have been people that have come and gone in my life that we've kind of, like, grown more distant or grown more this or that. Like, I had a friend that I, like, wanted to get closer to, and we were, like, watching TV together and doing all that stuff. And then one day I was just like, oh, do you want to do this? And she was like, oh, no, maybe next week. And then I'd message the next week and she'd be like, I can't. And I started to pick up the hint, like, okay, like, clearly this person isn't wanting to, like, super hang anymore. So then we kind of stopped talking for a little bit. And some people might categorize that as, like, leading me on or something, like, by saying, oh, maybe next week. But no, like, I think it's perfectly reasonable if they want to be like, I'm not really sure. And you just kind of have to go from there. Like, I don't think that I would consider me deciding not to reach out anymore ghosting, like, because they probably didn't want to hang out as much. I think that we just kind of went our separate ways. And every now and then we might see each other and be like, hey, what's up? And we treat each other kindly. So, yeah, I guess I've also had people in my life where I've been on the other end of it, where I have maybe not felt like I wanted to be in a person's life anymore because of this or that. And so I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna move my own way and just do my stuff, and I'm not gonna bother them and just let them live their life. And then maybe they reached out like, hey, what's up? And I was just like, I would just kind of give like a short answer because I just didn't really want them in my life anymore. And I think that it's perfectly valid to do that. There's some situations where maybe, not so much. but you have to kind of decide on a base by base thing what the correct thing to do is. And I guess I just don't want there to be an umbrella term with the word ghosting. And I'd actually like to hear everyone else's thoughts on what they think ghosting is or what's appropriate and not appropriate, especially with long-term people in your life. Because I think at the end of the day, life just keeps moving forward, and it is until it isn't. Sometimes there's people that are just going to not be in your life anymore, and it's okay. And sometimes there's people that maybe had a more important part in your life, and then now they're just kind of like an acquaintance, or they're this or that. And it's not that, oh, we both hate each other. It's just like, no, your relationships will change, and that's okay. And just, yeah, those are some thoughts I've been having. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Hell yeah. Well, let's get to another question now that we've answered that super deep one. And this will probably be our last question. And it comes from Enigma. He says, "Hi, it's me, Enigma again. And with a big old gap of time between podcasts, I want to ask a somewhat relevant question in recent times. Who would you say in both IRL and in entertainment/animation of any media would you totally simp for in grand detail? And who is your favorite simp?"
Oh, he asked this on the POS podcast.
Oh, shit.
Like, cause so originally I thought simp was just like, oh, I just like you just fiend over him like completely, and then it's just like, oh yeah, that's great. But then like I learned it was like, oh no, it's like the person doesn't respect you, they like don't give you the time of day or something like that. And then I was just like, well,
respect?
It's like from what I was talking, because like me and Hero actually after the like fight we had to talk, like we can talk about it during Ducks tonight, but like because we watch Ducks every day. But we were talking about it, and then it was like me, Tommy, Hero, and Paleo, and then like because me and Paleo were like, oh, I'd simp for Mia from Monster Musume, and then he was like, oh, I'd simp for Samus for blah blah blah, and then like Hero was like, what's the definition of simp? And then like Tom looked it up and gave us this thing, and then we found like the definitions of it, and it was just like, oh, simping for someone is just like, oh, they don't. The primary one that they kept, like the result they kept showing over and over was simping for like, oh, they don't actually respect you, they're using you for this and this thing. And then like, well, Hero was like, well, fuck, I don't want to do that. And then Tom was like, I hate people already, so if someone did that to me, I'd hate them even more, so why would I want to simp for that? And it was just like, yeah, you know what? And so like that made my whole thing change. Or like if that's what it is, where if it's like they're like treating me like crap and I'm like doing all this stuff like I want you to love me and I want you to do this, and like fuck you. Like for me, it's just like, oh, I'd simp for you because I would treat you like a goddess. But like if you treated me like shit, fuck you, lady. All right, look here, I ain't doing this crap. All right, nah, you can get out of my face with that shit. No, I need my love.
Yeah, I think based on definitions and examples that I've seen, I think that is maybe one interpretation, but I've also seen interpretations where it means that for example, a guy on the internet sees a woman, like I think it's the new word for like white knight, where like you
I definitely don't want to be one that fuck that. Yeah,
no, yeah,
I'm
like,
Black
listen,
Knight.
Yeah, but like you maybe see a girl post a pretty picture, and maybe you don't know this girl and like have no connection to her, and you just say like, you're beautiful, and someone takes that as you
being a
like,
sit. Oh my god, yeah, I saw that shit.
Just throwing a compliment out.
Just being friends with a girl makes you a simp. I'm a simp for you, apparently, Katie, because we like talk to you. So it's just like, no.
It's like an exaggerated way of someone else putting something on you just because like. But I think another definition that I've seen, because that's one example, but another one that I've seen that I think makes more sense is when you are like starstruck, like, oh my gosh, I want this person to be like mine, without them actually having any like, okay, I'm going to give you the best example. And I think that anime are actually the types of shows that give like really good examples of this. It's about fantasy versus reality when it comes to like relationships and love. And there's an anime called
Kage-sama's Love is War.
No, actually, ReZero, that I really am enjoying because of its commentary on how when you look at people through the lens of this fantasy mindset and you just put them on these pedestals because you feel like you're you're owed something, or that you're better or greater or this, that it can kind of, you know, come back to stab you in the back. And so Subaru, our main character, the way that he looks at Amelia, he instantly, just because she's like really pretty and cute, he assumes in his head like, oh, like she must be the main heroine. So that means that I obviously am going to like end up with her. So he's like, without knowing anything really about her, is just like, oh, I love her. Like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. We have to go on a date. We have to do all this stuff. Like, oh my God, he has this fantasy in his mind of who Amelia is, of who this girl is, without actually having like a real conversation about anything about her. He just has built it up in his head. So in that way, he is simping for her because he doesn't, like, she's not actually doing anything worth the attention he is giving her. But later in the series, they actually fully confront that. And Amelia even says, man, the Amelia that's in your head must be wonderful. Like, it's a really good anime because the main character is kind of supposed to be this self-insert kind of incel like character that's just like a gamer that's put in an isekai, and he instantly thinks like, oh, well, I must be so great coming to this fantasy world, and slowly he learns that that's not how it works. You're in another reality, and that means it's going to have its own rules and laws, and you are not anything special. All of this shit that you're putting up in your head is not real, but you keep putting yourself on this pedestal just because, oh, you came from another dimension. No, you ain't shit. Yeah, you might have some special powers, but you have to humble yourself and realize that you're putting all of these people into these boxes that they aren't, of who they aren't. These aren't actually what these people are. And
Right.
and Subaru learns that lesson, and it has one of the most amazing character arcs. Like, he's one of my favorite protagonists now because you're supposed to not really like him in the beginning. You're supposed to think, oh, like, oh, he's stupid or this or that, because when he actually gets it through his fucking skull that he's been putting these people on pedestals and not seeing them as actual people, it actually like fucking, it does such a good commentary on that. And so that's why I think Subaru is a great example of a character that is a simp, but he evolves from simphood. And there's a lot of other anime that do that because they all have commentary on fantasy versus reality. Like your anime protagonist, like the way that Naruto and Sakura were. Like, Naruto was like, oh, Sakura-chan, like, oh, I love you so much. Like, you don't know shit about Sakura. Like, you just think she's real cute. You're over here simping Sakura. Sakura is actually...
Sasuke.
Yeah, and Sakura simped Sasuke. She put him on this pedestal without actually knowing who he really is, but she thought he was cute, or she thought, oh, he's so cool.
hot.
Yeah, and so women can also be simps, Orihime for Ichigo. Although there is an argument that because they were childhood friends and, you know, she had, like, grown up a lot with him, like, maybe there's an argument that she knew more about him. But, like, Sakura and Sasuke, all of the women simped for Sasuke. Like, they were just putting him on this pedestal without knowing a goddamn thing about him. But it's when you realize that you have to separate that reality from fantasy about what relationships are, about how people are more than the fantasies that you think that they are. That's when you can evolve from symptom. And so that's why my favorite simp is Subaru.
And mine is Mia, because Mia's hot. And that's it.
God, I could
Nothing
just
deep.
talk forever about that. Like, Midori Days is another great example
Midori
of
is
an
a simp?
anime. Oh yeah, Midori Days is another anime about fucking simping and fucking fantasy versus reality. Like,
Well, I mean, I guess he does like Ochako a lot, so.
God damn it, I hate you. Honestly, no, actually, with no, blah, 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 blah.
Uraraka.
Uraraka
and
and Deku.
Deku.
I don't think there's any simping happening there yet.
Yeah, they just like each
because-
other.
Yeah, there's just like a simple kind of like
Simple.
like ooh ha ha ha. There's like maybe some butterflies, but they aren't like, oh, you beautiful creature that I ha ha ha, like you are a goddess, blah blah blah. Like there's none of that happening. They're seeing
not
each other as
Sanji.
real people. Yeah, yeah. Sanji is a major fucking simp.
That's why
Like,
Zoro
from-
and Nami fucking the crow's nest
Sanji
every
fucking
night.
simps every woman, like, without
You know what?
even-
If he was chill, he
and-
would actually get a lot of women because he can
He
cook
would.
and he's good.
And fucking all of these women that he is simping over, they are badass because there is like a level to simping that's like you stan mediocre pussy, which implies that the women themselves are not worth like being like ooh
Simple.
over.
Oh yeah, it was like
But
simply
that's actually
idolizing
not true.
mediocre pussy.
Women can be fucking incredible and still be simped on because it's all about the context of your relationship. Nami, for example, is a fucking badass.
Yeah, she's fucking hot,
She's
too.
fucking she's also fucking beautiful. But people simp her without actually knowing her. But if they get to know each other, then you're not simping anymore. You're just having a relationship. But it's when you immediately start the conversation with, oh, you beautiful, blah, 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 that's when you're simping. But when you actually just talk to a person like they're a person, you get to know them, and you form like a relationship, then you are not a simp. So having female friends, you are not a simp. Having male friends, you're not a simp. Like, all genders can be simps, but you don't have to be. If you just treat people like people.
Mm-hmm.
Simps, man. Like, I've been studying the fuck out of simps lately, like. But I also think it's a funny meme, and I'm still gonna keep using the word. But it's nice to learn.
Right.
Man. And ReZero is really fucking good, and I'm watching it with a friend right now, and we still have 3 episodes, technically 6 episodes left of the first season to watch, and then season 2's coming out soon. Oh, it's really
nice.
good. I recommend ReZero. Like.
Are those the
I
ones
recommend
that
it.
were in that freaking isekai quartet?
Yeah, they're an Isekai Quartet.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I need to watch all those anime, because the only one I've seen is Konosuba and
There
Overlord.
is, honestly, Jordan, there's a scene in... It's a very famous scene, so don't Google it because you need all the context. But it's Rem and Subaru. The whole episode is a conversation between the two, and it is where his character is completely like every experience that he's had. It's like a therapy session, but an episode. And if you watch all the way up to that episode and then see it, like, I was bawling my eyes out, and it made me fall in love with character Subaru, like, because of his... He looks at a fucking mirror and he sees the person that he is, and he's like, holy shit, I do not want to be this person. What the fuck have I been doing? And then he gets his ass back on track. And it's like, it's incredible. And like, I just recommend watching all of the first season of ReZero just to witness that amazing scene.
Oh, okay.
Holy fuck.
When I
But
have
yeah,
time, I will.
Yeah. Honestly, though, yeah, that's fair.
Mm.
But yeah, this has been a really good episode. We do have one more question, but I think I will save that for our next episode because we
Yes.
are at an hour.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Jordan, where can they find you? We made a podcast. We did it.
We made a podcast. Booyah. Jaxblade Fitness, Twitter. Jaxblade on YouTube. Jaxblade on Facebook. And Jaxblade on everywhere else. Yeah, Jordan Jaxblade Downs on Instagram. How about you, Connie Day?
Blah, blah, blah. You can find me at Connie Day, Kaniday, on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the Factbooks, on the YouTubes. You can also find me at Kruby Productions, KRWBY Productions, where I am a writer, a producer, a voice actress. I do things. That's pretty neat. And I'm also a writer and voice actress at Dr. Crafty on YouTube, where I help make a show about character design. And you can, of course, find us at Weird Flex Pod on Twitter and Weird Flex But Okay Podcast on Patreon. And you can email us at weirdflexbutokaypodcast@gmail.com if you would like to ask us questions. You can find this podcast, of course, on iTunes and SoundCloud, but you already know that. You're listening to it. Whoa.
Yeah.
We did it. We did it.
Yes,
Say
we did
something
it.
funny. Do it.
Booyah. What's funny? My love life, like everything else in my life.
Waka
Waka. My YouTube channel's funny. Subscribe to it.
You should. He's got really cool.
I have 387,000 subscribers.
Woo!
I need 12,000 more to hit 400,000. So do
Yes.
it. Do it.
Fucking do it, bitch.
Please.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Be tough. Or be a
Booyah.
bitch.
Wow!
What end? End!
I love you.